What's up, galera? Tudo bem com vocês? Hey, you don't look Brazilian. This is something Brazilians hear all the time when they're traveling, and it's certainly not their favorite thing to hear because Brazil is a huge country with over 200 million people and a lot of ethnic diversity. So there's no exact way to look Brazilian. There are certain characteristics based on the history. It's a mixture of European, indigenous, and African cultures. But what if I told you that Brazil is home to the largest Japanese population outside of Japan? Or Brazil is home to the largest Oktoberfest outside of Germany? So this video is part of a series that gives a more in-depth look into what is Brazil, opposed to the narrow focus you generally see in the foreign media. I'm not sure if there's a way to look Brazilian, but I am sure that Brazil is home to some of the most beautiful people in the world, and that is what we will be discussing today. First of all, Brazil was founded by the Portuguese, and different from the colonies in the United States, especially in New England, most of these Portuguese explorers were single men. A lot of the people in New England came over as families. This led to a lot of interracial marriage, first with the indigenous population, and later with the African slaves. It was not seen as taboo, it was in fact seen as a necessity for survival. This led to a new ethnic composition in Brazil, what demographers call pardo. Most Brazilians would just call moreno or morena. Inside this demographic of pardo, there's still tons of diversity. Some people could have blue eyes, lighter skin, darker skin, more European features, more indigenous features, more African features. It's a very vague category. In fact, Brazil has more specific distinctions. I will not get into those today. There is also a huge African influence in Brazil. You see it everywhere. It's in the music, the dance, the food. Feijoada, the national dish, came out of slavery. And also we have a huge indigenous population. There are over 900,000 indigenous reservations in Brazil. There's a huge indigenous population in the north, specifically in the Amazon region. There are a lot of differences based on geography. Like I said, the north is home to more indigenous people, and you will find more indigenous features in the population. Cities like Salvador da Bahia and Rio de Janeiro have a strong African influence. Both were capitals of Brazil at one time, and they also received a huge amount of African slaves. Samba was born in Rio, Capoeira was born in Bahia. In the south, you will see more European features. As I said, Brazil is home to the largest Oktoberfest outside of Germany. The city is called Blumenau. It's very German. Take a look at the people here. It looks like it could be in Germany. In fact, some cities still speak a dialect of German. Some cities even use the names of German cities. Novo Hamburgo, New Hamburg. The largest German populations are in the three southern states of Paraná, Santa Catarina, and Rio Grande do Sul. Also an influx of Polish and Ukrainian. Another huge demographic is the Italians. They also settled in the south, like the Germans, but they have a huge influence in the city of Sao Paulo. City Hall of Sao Paulo is located in the Mararazzi building. Another famous building is Martinelli, and arguably the best view of Sao Paulo is in Edifício Italia, the Italian building, and if you go up to the top, in the Terraça Italia, the Italian terrace, there's a lot of Italian food, and especially the two neighborhoods of Bexiga and Moca. And arguably one of the most famous Brazilians of all time, Formula One driver Ayrton Senna, Italian descent. Another thing you'll see in Sao Paulo is a huge Japanese population. Sao Paulo is home to over 1 million people of Japanese descent, especially in the neighborhood of Liberdade. One of the most famous TV presenters, Sabrina Sato, Japanese. Sao Paulo also has a sizable Korean population. One of the most famous YouTubers, Pyong Lee, is Korean. They mostly live in a neighborhood called Bom Retiro. Another immigrant group that had a huge contribution to Brazil was the Syrian and Lebanese people. During the decline of the Ottoman Empire, many Syrian and Lebanese people migrated to Brazil to start a new life. In fact, one of the most famous hospitals in all of Brazil, Sírio-Libanês, was formed by Syrian and Lebanese immigrants. There's a lot of Arabic food too. One of the most famous snacks is called esfirra. In summary, there's no way to look Brazilian. It is a huge country with huge diversity, and it's a diversity that is celebrated in Brazil. It's always been a country that has been very welcoming to foreigners, very welcoming to different immigrant groups. Of course, I'm not sugarcoating the fact that there was slavery, that there was injustices against indigenous groups, but today it's a diverse country full of beautiful people. If you want to visit, I recommend you visit. And don't say you don't look Brazilian next time you see a Brazilian person. There is no way to look Brazilian. Até mais. Peace.